Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with another battle report. So as you may know, I've said before there's a very active gaming group about 40 minutes away from where I live, but I'd like something closer to home, and so I'm participating in an escalation league with a bunch of what I believe are 40K players that are making the transition to fantasy. So they had their opening day of it, wanted a 1,000 point game, so I showed up with my Bretonnians and actually did a couple games with the guy who's picked up Warriors of Chaos. So real quickly, start on my left, I have my Peg Knights. They're actually in these ruins. We're treating as dangerous terrain or difficult terrain, um, which gives any spell cast within 6 inches the ability to channel up to 4 dice. So my Peg Knights are there, and there's my level 2 Damsel with Lore of Beast right next to them. She doesn't have any magic items because there's just really no points for anything like that. So here in the middle I have 12 Knights of the Realm full command, 9 Knights Errant full command, and then 19 Peasant Bowmen full, not full command because they don't have a champion. If you notice the Green Knight model, front and left of the Knights of the Realm unit, that's actually my Battle Standard Bearer. My regular Battle Standard Bearer got broken in the move, so I'll have to see if I can get him fixed. But my BSB is very similar to my level 2 Damsel in that there are no upgrades whatsoever just because there weren't points available for it in such a small game. So starting on his right, he has a unit of 10 warriors full command, and they actually have the Mark of Khorne. So they're the only unit with a mark, and they're frenzied. And you'll notice they're all the way over here on the right hand side. Meanwhile, in the middle, he has 10 Marauders full command, 10 more Warriors of Chaos full command, and on the far left, he has 5 Chaos Knights with the Chaos Lord on a regular steed, even though that model looks like it's a monstrous mount, it's not, or a monstrous cav, whatever. And the Lord doesn't have any upgrades because, again, there's just no points for it. So you can see right off the bat that it's not an optimized list whatsoever. I mean, you can't blame somebody. It's really their first time playing fantasy. It's much more of a 7th edition list than an 8th edition list. And yeah, I mean, and one thing I pointed out too, not only does he not have a battle standard bearer and no magic, he also has his units spread out. So he has, knights on the left, warriors on the right, and then warriors in the middle. And it's like you don't really need to cover the whole board. It's probably more important to allow your units to support each other. Anyway, so on the far left, I vanguard my Pegasus Knights up. And then here you're looking at, this is the end of his movement phase. I kind of skipped a couple things here. You can see how I moved up, and then now you can see how he moved up. Now it's funny because he made a critical mistake here, and then I wasn't even aware enough to to pay attention to it. But basically, my Knights of the Realm could charge his Chaos Knights in the flank. My Knights Errant would have been in their front, and that'd be suicide. But Knights of the Realm in the flank would have been and should have been the obvious charge to make there, but I didn't think about it. So anyway, he moved up as you can see. Here on the left, his warriors are in woods that are, I think it's the Venom Thicket, but they have poison attacks, but at the same time they have to take dangerous terrain tests if they march or anything. So he didn't want to march them, he just kind of moved them up through the forest a little bit. And then of course go to my turn and I just do the double whammy charge into his Marauders. His Marauders have no upgrades whatsoever. I'm going to blow through them. I'm going to hit his Warriors of Chaos, and on his turn we're going to fight that, and I'm going to blow through them as well. If they were to hold, I still don't think he could countercharge. I don't think either of his other units can even see me right there. So really he's in a tough spot right from the beginning of the game because he spread out his units like he did. Meanwhile, I take my damsel and I put her exactly 16 inches away from his Warriors of Chaos unit. You really can't see the unit. They're actually resting on top of the trees on the left. He tried to get them out of the woods. I think they're just on the edge. But by putting her 16 away, that means he's going to have to test to not charge her. And at Leadership 8, he's going to fail that sometimes. And I would love to just have him failing charge tests that are really almost impossible to make. Also, during the magic phase, she got Weisson's Wild Form off on my Knights of the Realm and promptly lost 3 magic levels, and now she is no longer a spellcaster. Meanwhile, my Peg Knights, you're looking at this picture, it's kind of from the side of the board. Instead of charging his Warriors of Chaos, which would have been suicide, I flew them over their head to just to get them out of harm's way, and then go over and see if they might be helpful somewhere else, maybe to charge a unit off the board later on or something like that. So here's a close-up of the double knight charge into his marauders. And I know he wanted his marauders as kind of a meat shield, but the way it worked out just really isn't going to work because I'm just going to blow through them. My overrun is certainly going to take me into the warriors unit, so he's going to lose the marauders on my turn. He's going to lose the warriors on his turn. His other units are so far away, I really can just reform and face either one I want and take them down one at a time. And here on the right, I take my bowman. I've just actually walked up both turns. I walk up a little bit and shoot at his knights. I know I'm not going to get past their armor saves, but I want his knights to charge my bowman because I'm just going to flee. It's going to give him a failed charge, and if he'll do that, it'll just buy me more time to set up the charges, the double charge that I want against these knights, rather than having me rush into it if he just reforms or something. So after combat, it looks like this. He kills one knight errant. That's it. I totally just destroy his marauders. Overrun. I forgot to have my horses attack. Didn't matter. He had like 3 guys left. Easily caught him. Overran into the warrior unit. So we go to his turn. His knights charge my bowman. I flee and get away. Meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the board, his warriors fail his frenzy test. So again, they're leadership 8, but they have no reroll, so they have to charge my damsel. I stand, and he has a failed charge over here. The only good news for him is he didn't lose any of them to the dangerous terrain test they had to take for being in the Venom Forest. Here in the middle of the board on his turn, we fight with the warriors. You can see he killed one knight errant, didn't kill any of my knights of the realm. Of course, I had the +1 strength and toughness buff. Nevertheless, easily broke him in combat and overran. I probably could have just reformed. I don't know how many I killed. I doubt if he was under 25%. Anyway, overran him. I have all the time in the world to reform and come back around and whatever. So we go to my turn, and I just reform my knight blocks. I fly my peg knights over. My peasants realize how I was using them to bait the chaos knights, so they decide just to go ahead and keep running. My damsel's of no use to me in the magic phase anymore, so she just comes exactly 16 inches away from his warriors to force them to take another frenzy test. So on the right-hand side of the board, I think he knows he's kind of in a spot, but he goes ahead and just reforms his Chaos Knights. His Frenzied Warriors on the left fail their Leadership 8 Frenzy test, so they have to charge my Damsel and promptly fail it, so keeps them nice and isolated on the left-hand side of the board. We go to my turn, and I go ahead and do a triple charge against his Chaos Knights. The problem is, even with this triple charge, Chaos Knights are just rock hard. Plus, there's, of course, a Chaos Lord in there. Nothing to sneeze at, even though he doesn't have any magic items. But just, yeah, kind of scary, but that's the best I can hope for. And then after combat, it looks like that. Oh my gosh, what do you have to do? I lost 2 Knights Errant, and I think he put a wound on a Peg Knight. I killed 1 Chaos Knight. I mean, holy, look at all the high strength attacks that went in there. I killed 1, and he stuck. So, I mean, the good news is he's got, 1 unit of warriors all the way across the other side of the board, so nobody's coming in a hurry to come save him. And I have a lot of static combat res, but now I don't have any high strength attacks, and it's going to be kind of rough. Meanwhile, over here, yeah, his warriors this time, I think they passed the frenzy test and just marched as much as they could, or they had another failed charge. I'm not sure which, and it doesn't matter. They're still so far on the other side of the board. So after combat on his phase, it looks like that. I think he killed only 1 Knight Errant, and he did kill a Peg Knight. Really, I mean, he's even though he's got 2 attacks each and all that, it's hard to get for him to get past what's modified to a 4-up armor save and then a 5-up ward. And I do have a lot of static combat res. So when I charged in, I think I won combat, and he needed a 6 and passed it. This time around, I still won, but he needed a 7 and he passed it. So we move to my turn. So I just again take my damsel. I put her exactly 16 inches away, hoping that he will fail his frenzy test. So we go to my turn. We fight for the 3rd round of combat, and this time things are still going his way. I'm just really not getting any wounds on him. I think he did a few to me, but regardless, I won combat, and he needed an 8, and he finally failed it. He didn't have a battle standard bearer around, so he failed it. I went ahead and pursued and just chased him right off the board. So at that point, I said, "Look, let's just wrap this up. I've won it. I'm just going to reform my Knights of the Realm, and I could come take care of your other 10 warriors whenever I want to. Let's just play another quick game, and he's going to modify his list a little bit." So we set up again. I've got the exact same list set up as you can see, and he's changed his list pretty significantly. Now he has a big unit of warriors. He put his lord down to a battle standard bearer instead, hero level, and then he brought a level 1 sorcerer. So on the left he's got a unit of warriors. I think this time he has I said 20, I think it's actually 18, and then behind him he has some more marauders, but now he's just using it as a bunker for his spellcaster, so they're behind his warriors. So during Vanguard I take my Peg Knights up, actually pretty aggressively. I want to be able to charge his marauders, and so I needed to move him up to where I had a chance to do that, and I'm just going to try to snipe his sorcerer. I knew that by doing it he might go ahead and charge his warriors into my Peg Knights, which I hope he would fail, but I know that if he decides to do that, that's just a risk I'm taking. I'm going to put a +1 strength and toughness buff on the Peg Knights, so if that does happen, at least they have a chance, because they'll be, the pegs themselves will be strength 5, toughness 5. And if nothing else, maybe it will hold them up, or maybe just get them away from my knights or something like that. So obviously, in case I haven't said it yet, in both games he let me go first, which is, as Bretonnia, is just really, really nice. And yes, I'm kind of using a weird strategy that I haven't done in a while, where I put my peasants in front of my knights, fully intending to flee through them. So went ahead and shot at his Chaos Knights and actually took one down, which that may even give me the points back for those peasants. So the warriors get their first turn, and he just marches his knights up absolutely as far as they can go. So now my knights actually can't even charge him, and it's just I can charge with my with my peasants if I want to. And then if you look on the left, yeah, his warriors charged my my Peg Knights and made it. Yeah, there's a close-up of that. He's got to charge 3 ranks or 2 ranks of standard. They're Chaos Warriors. I mean, I think he's certainly got a great chance here. I would love for my Peg Knights to be able to hold him up for a while. I think it is going to be tough for him to wound me. He didn't bring halberds or just hand weapon shield. So anyway, I'm just hoping the Pegasus Knights can hold these guys up just for a little bit. So after combat, it actually wasn't too bad. He put a wound on a Pegasus and a wound on my champion in a challenge, and I stuck. I think I killed 3 of his guys, I think, something like that. The challenge really helped because it took a lot of his models out of combat completely. Either way, you know what? I can't complain about that. Peg Knights holding up a unit of Chaos Warriors, yeah, can't complain. So we move to Bretonnia turn 2, and I decide to create a couple speed bumps for his Chaos Knights so that I can guarantee a double charge on him. So I take the damsel out of my peasant unit, put her right in front of him, and then just angle the peasants. So if he charges, I'm just going to run away with both. I actually considered running away only with the damsel, let him beat the peasants. I know he'd have a good chance of getting the charge to my Knights of the Realm, but I could deflank charge with my Knights Errant. And but I'm pretty sure going into it that I'm just going to flee with both, let him bounce, and then get a double charge with my Knights. So there's just more of a close-up of it. And after combat here on the other side of the board, yeah, this time his champion couldn't wound my champion. I think I actually killed his champion in the challenge, but he did another wound to a Peg Knight. Broke us in combat this time. Decided to pursue to go ahead and try to get those points, and wasn't able to catch him. I don't know if that was the best decision or not. I mean, alternatively, you could just let the Peg Knights go, because odds are you're not going to catch them anyway, and just reform and set up for a charge, or at least a movement towards the main battle line. But who knows? Anyway, he tried to catch him and couldn't. Meanwhile, on the other side of the board, he declared a charge against my damsel. I fled. He declared a charge against my peasants. They fled and bounced, and actually his warriors charged my Peg Knights, who fled and redirected my peasants, and it knocked the peasants off the board. And of course, after he's done with all his charge movements, it looks something like that. So I really can't complain about the the counter charge I have with both my knights, going to the front of him again just like last game, but again, I mean, we really can't ask for more. You can see his marauders with his sorcerer at the very top. Uh, just I don't know if they're really threatening to counter charge, but they are at least on the scene. So we go to Bretonnia turn 3, and I countercharge. My Damsel rallies, my Pegasus Knight rally. There's the close-up of what I hope will be a very quick combat. And after combat, it looks like that. You can tell he didn't do any wounds to my Knights of the Realm, but he did do 3 wounds to my Knights Errant. Amazingly, I actually did a few wounds to him, but most importantly, he stuck. So we go to his turn. Now I should say that on my turn I got a +1 strength and toughness buff on my Knights of the Realm, which, you know, probably helped when, you know, for him not to wound me. We go to his turn, and yeah, this could have been just so critical. His first of all, his Marauders came to the flank of my Knights of the Realm. More importantly, his warriors charged my damsel. She fled. They tried to redirect to my Knights of the Realm, and they failed their redirect test, which was huge. I mean, I think he had the game right there of his warriors into the flank of my Knights of the Realm. You know, so he has a battle standard bearer, but it's just he's still too far away. And you know, I like to keep my guys close together when I can. I think this is another instance of him just kind of spreading out too much and not getting the synergy that he needs. So after combat, it looks like that. What a weird combat. He was only able to kill 1 Knight of the Realm, which is kind of weird. I mean, he's got that hero level character there who normally can kill at least 1 or 2 Knights Errant. But more, what I couldn't believe was I couldn't do any wounds against his Marauders. Just none. I mean, they have no armor. They're nothing there. I'm +1 strength and toughness. I couldn't do any wounds to him. So we both have 1 rank. We both have 2 banners. So really, he has a wound, a charge, and a flank. And wins by 3. I need a 5 rerollable, and I get it. So we go to my turn. My Peg Knights, who had rallied before, now can charge the flank of his Marauders. And it could be huge. One, they should do enough wounds that he won't negate my ranks anymore. Hopefully this time I'll get some wounds on him and can finally win through just, get enough combat res to win. And sure enough, that's all it took. Finally, my guys did some wounds on his Marauders. His Marauders, even though I would have done the same thing he did, ended up being a liability because even though they had a charge and a flank, they were just easy combat res for me. So in this one, you can see he killed several Knights Errant and 1 Knight of the Realm, and even then it just didn't matter. I had enough wounds to break both of them pretty easily from combat, and then ran him down. So we go to his turn. He charges my Peg Knights. I flee. My Peg Knights ran through both Knight units, and my Knights Errant failed their panic test and fled right to the table edge. And so he just had a failed charge right there. There's kind of a close-up picture for you. And this is kind of a weird picture, I know, because there's really just kind of a blank table, but there on the left we see the movement tray. That's where his warriors are. The models fell off. My Knights Errant rallied there on the far right. I went ahead and marched my Knights of the Realm as far away as possible because I just didn't want to take any chance of him charging me. On my next turn I can just turn him around and I can come back. I'm not really, if we're like a tournament game or something, I don't know how comfortable I would be charging my Knights of the Realm into his warriors unit because they're a big enough unit. I don't know if they could go either way, and as it is now I would have the game anyway. So on his turn he decides not to move. He just stays right where he is, and so I bring my Knights up a little bit. I bring my damsel around to the side. She actually has transformation of Catan this game, so I've just been rolling real low on the Winds of Magic every turn. So I finally had enough that I turned her into a dragon while she's in their flank. I thought it'd be fun to have it there so that if he doesn't just fill out his turn, maybe she can do something fun. And it goes off irresistible force and she gets sucked into the warp. Otherwise, you can see I just leave my Knights Errant where they are. I fly my Pegasus Knights to get them out of harm's way. Both those units are just too beat up to go against a warrior's unit. And you can see my Knights of the Realm up the top. Basically, if he wants to engage, I can charge him. I'm not dying to unless he wants to, and he wasn't moving up. So really the game's kind of just ending right there. So the game kind of ended at this stalemate where he wasn't really coming up, and I really wasn't dying to take a chance of getting in there. And so we just kind of stopped playing, and then we were just kind of talking about it afterwards. And I was saying, I probably would have just crammed those warriors down my throat and made me charge you, because even then you probably still win. And so we just on a whim, we said that's fine. We pushed them together, we rolled it off, and I won combat by one, broke them, and ran them down. So don't listen to me. I obviously don't know what I'm doing. Um, yeah, real fun game. He really had a lot of fun. I could tell he was kind of excited about getting back into fantasy instead of just playing 40K. I think he's a good painter, so I think next time we play, you'll see his army come together painting wise, and it'll be nice to see. So anyway, kind of a different game, not necessarily a relatively experienced player against a newbie, but hopefully it was still enjoyable. Maybe it would be productive to watch for somebody who's getting new into the hobby. Anyway, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.